Welcome to TheRebel.media and our friend Jonathan Halevi. Jonathan, it's great to see you again. At the Old Sun News Network, you were part of a series we called The Arab Underground. Now you're part of a series we do called Canadian Jihad, about Muslim extremism right here in Canada. You've brought a group of facts about women in the place of Islam apropos of International Women's Day, right?
Yes, I wanted to show the different angles of women's rights in Canadian Muslim perspective, from the Imams, what they are preaching in the mosques, and through the Muslim students' organizations, and how it's being perceived by a new convert to Islam.
Right, so we're not talking about views about women in Saudi Arabia, in Egypt, in Afghanistan. We're talking about in Toronto, in cities across Canada. So this is right here in our own country. You've brought, I think, 4 case studies with video clips and other transcripts. I'm going to introduce them, and then you teach us a little bit about them. There's a lot here, but I want to see how much we can get through today. Let's take the first case of an Imam named Abdi Hersi. Now, he's from my province, Alberta, right? Tell me a little bit about him.
He is the Imam of Abu Bakr Musalla from Calgary. He has been, the CBC have reported that he is wanted by the U.S. authorities for sexual charges. He denies these allegations against him. But it's interesting to listen to what he's saying in the mall just in last February, in the beginning of this month.
So let's go to the video. So this fella is wanted in the States on sexual assault. He denies the charges. He's here as a refugee in law. They want him in the States. Let's look at the first clip of him on a woman's place.
And the biggest thing when it comes to obeying your husband, ladies, is when he calls you in the bed. Stop whatever you're doing. Quit. Oh, I'm cooking. Turn it off. What's wrong with that? Come back for it. Or pay your husband.
That's not a very feminist thing to say. It's not even an egalitarian thing to say that women drop whatever you're doing and come sexually service your man. That is, he's not just saying that should be a choice. He's saying that is the way of Islam. Am I getting that right? He's saying that's just not an opinion. That's what Muslim women ought to do.
Yeah, this is a religious obligation, duty upon the wife to provide services to her husband, which means in bed and also in other chores of the house.
Yeah, so we see either cook him a sandwich or come service him in bed. It's not hard for me to understand how he could get himself in trouble in the States.
He's not the only one, by the way. Yeah. We've brought earlier last year on the source other imams that saying the same message from Montreal, from Toronto. This is an obligation upon the wife to be available for consummation for her husband at any time, except in very specific circumstances, like if she has menses, etc.
Let's have one more clip from Abdi Hersi before we go to the next Imam. Let's take one more look at him.
You have to choose either Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or Canada. Canada is a feminine country. So, ladies, the other thing that I want you to quit from your life is feminism.
Jonathan, what do you think he means by Canada is a feminine nation? I believe that we're a country of equality. Women have reached the highest heights on the Supreme Court, governors general, things like that. What does he mean that we're feminine? He means that as an insult, doesn't he?
I think that what he means that women have rights that are not allowed in Islam. That's what he means, feminine. And I think that's very important. When he talks about obedience, that the wife should be obedient to her husband, that is against, of course, the Canadian values. And he, I think, criticizes the Canadian values. I think that it's very important that today we have a debate over the niqab and the hijab. So we have here another angle of the Islamic understanding of women's rights, which means the obedience. It's not just, it's a key issue. So the hijab and the niqab is not a free choice of a woman, but this is a religious duty of the wife being imposed by the husband.
Yeah, I think some naive Western liberals who don't know anything about radical Islam think, oh, it's just like wearing a hat. it's just like wearing another fashion accoutrement, like a fancy scarf. They don't understand that it is a tool to help enforce this subordination. Now let's move on to a young convert to Islam in Calgary. And I think this shows that these aren't just quirky, anecdotal views of imams. This is how it is in Canadian mosques. Now, this young woman, Mizz Haibibi, she was from the Caribbean. She converted to Islam. Let's listen to her talk about a woman's place. So she would be in outreach to other young Muslim women and to convert people to Islam. Here's what she says a woman's place is in the religion.
When a man takes a wife, okay, she becomes his responsibility. Okay, he's taking on the role of parents. That's now like her brother, her father, everything.
So, Jonathan, she is saying that a woman, a grown woman, a mother, a wife, an adult, is actually like a child, and that her husband isn't an equal, but rather like a father to her. I mean, this is the kind of thing that feminists, they call this the patriarchy. This is the kind of extreme patriarchy that would be a caricature, but she's saying it seriously. She means it.
She means it, and I think it's so important to see that she reflects what she is being taught in the mosque by her mentors. She accepts absolutely what they are saying about the roles between the husband and the wife should be in total obedience to her husband.
You know, I want to play one more clip from Ms. Haibibi. Again, she has adopted this view as her own. She's a convert to Islam, and now she is propagating it to others. She's from Calgary, which is where Abdi Hersi is from. One more clip from Ms. Haibibi.
The feminism and women have taken women's rights and just skewered everything and turned it into some kind of like showboating. Women are boss. I don't know what that's all about, but
so women being the boss is showboating. It's funny that liberals say no, the hijab, the niqab, it's all it's a freedom of choice. It's about human rights. Well, I don't even think that Muslim women, at least not Ms. Haibibi, think so. I want to move on to the next example. And this is right here in the heart of Toronto at York University. So this is not just reaching out to non-Muslims, but telling young Muslims how they ought to think and be in public in a university. So this is the York University. I'm going to call it a propaganda week. Tell me what the official name of this week at York University was.
It's called the Islam Awareness Week, and this week the Muslim Students Association propagate Islam, reaching out to the students in order to remove misconceptions about Islam and bring the true face of Islam, what Islam is all about. And in this week they promote Islam, bringing information, handing out books, etc.
Now, some people hearing you say that might say, oh, they are putting a moderate face on Islam, trying to brush off, sand down the rough edges of Islam. But actually, they're doing the opposite. They're showing just how hardcore Islam is. So if you're saying they're disabusing people of illusions, I would actually agree, because they're saying no. At least the Islam that they're propagating is very hard line. I mean, you can see right here a woman in the full niqab, the full ninja-style face-obscuring veil. That's startling, I think, to anyone still in Canada to see. But what is far more disturbing is the book she is handing out. Let me read from some portions. Have you received a copy of this book?
Yes, I have a copy of it.
And have you read through this book carefully?
Yes.
And is this book an accurate reflection of, if not dominant, at least conventional Islam in Canada?
On my blog, Alternative Angle, you can find a lot of evidence from books being sold in bookstores here, Islamic bookstores in Toronto, in Canada in general, and also sermons of imams in Canada. They are all speaking in the same language.
So I'm now going to quote, I'm going to read from some of the passages that you excerpted from this book being handed out by this niqab-wearing woman at York University. Let's read the first transcript. This is from the book. Although beating of women is generally forbidden, Islam permits the beating of wives in a restricted and limited sense only as a final solution, an acceptable, valid reason when all else fails. This is analogous to spanking children. So this isn't someone lying about Islam. This isn't someone smearing Islam. This is not an Islamophobe defaming Islam. This is Islam Awareness Week. This is a practicing fundamentalist Muslim saying, this is what my religion is about. She's saying it's okay to beat her, I guess. I mean, that's what it would mean. If a woman's saying in Islam you can beat a woman and she's a woman, she's actually saying you can beat me.
Yes, because they accept the idea that the man is the leader, is the commander. He is supposed to give command to his wife, and she must obey him in any circumstances, as long as it's halal, which means it's according to the Islamic faith, which means it can be, if she does not go, go to bed when he invites her, or does not wear the hijab, the niqab.
So let me make sure I understand this. Under the Quranic interpretation, in this book handed out by this woman at York University, if a woman does not sleep with her husband at his command, he may beat her.
No, it's not mentioned in the book, but in general, everything that is not, he should obey everything that being said, instructed by the husband, according to Sharia law. And that means also when he invites her to bed, or wearing the hijab, niqab, etc.
I want to read one more excerpt from this book, and then we're going to move on because I don't want to go on too long. There's so much here, though. Here's another excerpt from the book that's being handed out by this woman, and you read this book. Third and final stage, beating without hurting, breaking a bone, leaving black or blue marks on the body, and avoiding hitting the face or especially sensitive parts at any cost. The purpose of beating her is only to discipline. I want to read one more clip, and I'll ask you to comment. So this is also from the book being handed out at York University.
Not only in York University, by the way. I took the book here at Dundas Square. It's being handed out by the WIIC, the Walking Islamic Info Center.
Let me read one more excerpt from it because I think our viewers will be shocked. This treatment is proved to be very effective with two types of women: strong-willed, demanding, and commandeering women, submissive or subdued women. These women may even enjoy being beaten at times as a sign of love and concern. Now, if someone who was not Muslim said those things, oh, women like being beaten, it's a sign that you love them. Yeah, baby, I know you really love me when you punch me. It's a sign. I mean, if someone else were to say that, people would say, well, you've got battered women syndrome, or you've got Stockholm syndrome, or we've got to get you into a women's shelter, or we've just got to get you out of an abusive relationship. Here you have a Muslim woman wearing a niqab, which is submissive to begin with, handing out literature that she obviously believes, that says some women enjoy being beaten because it proves that they are loved by the man who beats them. This is shocking to me.
Yeah, it's not. I would say it's not shocking, because if you listen to other imams from the Middle East, they say the same thing about women.
In the Middle East, but this is in Canada. We're almost out of time. I want to throw to one last imam from Quebec. We talked about two people from Calgary. We talked about someone from Toronto. Let's wrap it up in La Belle Provence. This is a guy named Hussein Amr from Laval, Quebec, and let's throw to a clip from him about beating women. Let's take a look.
إن الضرب في الإسلام نوع من أنواع التربية يقولون عنه أنه آخر الدواء.
Well, what a generous man. You only beat at the last resort. Let me show one last clip, and then I want you to hold up the book as proof that this is crazy that this book is being handed out. One more clip from Hussein Amr of Laval, Quebec.
إذا كان الغرب يمنع الضرب في التربية فهذا اتجاه قد اتجه له، لكن الحقيقة خلاف ذلك. الضرب نوع من أنواع التربية.
So a beating is a type of education. Jonathan, I got to tell you, I mean, you're a newcomer to Canada as well, but I've lived here my whole life. I'm fourth generation Canadian. If in any other age someone had said beating women is for their own good, women like being beaten, beating them is an education, that person would not only be socially marginalized, but they might actually get a call from the cops for being a wife beater, and any women in that situation would be, the cops would try and extract them, get them in a women's shelter, and we know for sure that feminists and the media would go nuts. But this is happening. You got the book right there. I mean, women in Islam, and look at that tulip there. They're handing this out in York University, and it's all in there.
Yes, also is Dr. Abdelrahman Ashiha. He has another book, by the way, saying very other messages dealing with killing of the apostates. And this book is also being handed out here in Toronto.
Oh my! We're out of time, but I want to confirm something you said before. Is there a link between the beating of women, the physical submission of women, and women wearing a hijab or especially a niqab? Is there a connection?
I think what the connection is that the husband, the father, because he is the leader and he has the authority to impose the laws of the family, to do the dirty job, as is being explained in one of the books, and even by using force. I think this is the main issue. He has the authority to use force as a discipline, as an education for educating his family members, his wife and daughters. Incredible. This is the link.
Jonathan Levy, thank you for bringing this to our attention. I don't think a lot of people want to know this, certainly not in the media, certainly not in politics. It shows that all these statements about International Women's Day are just that. They're just empty words, because what's going on across our country is very different. Folks, if you want to learn more about radical imams here in Canada, go to CanadianJihad.ca. You'll see that what we're talking about is troublingly widespread. I'm Ezra Levant for TheRebel.media.